PHP HTML tutorial. I know it's been a long time since I've had one. I'm sorry about that. I've been caught up with uni work and lots of other things, travelling, being on holiday, and yeah, plenty of other things I'm afraid. But due to my new uni timetable, I have some time off in the week now, in which I'm going to be trying to do at least one tutorial a week. So hopefully you'll see my channel being a bit more active with some new videos. So today I'm going to be showing you, because I know a lot of people have asked for one, a contact form. It's using PHP. It's by no means, the best quite possibly out there or the most secure, and I want to make that clear now. It's definitely not that secure. The point is I'm trying to show you the basics of PHP and how it can use the mail function. I will be doing a follow-up tutorial which may turn into two. One showing some more advanced PHP validation and another one using jQuery to validate the whole thing and use some nice jQuery based fade-in effects and things like that to validate the whole thing, which I'm currently using on my site. But I thought today I'd quickly just show you a really simple PHP form and how it processes it with very small amount of code and gives you, just what you want, sends you an email. So I'm going to just talk you through some stuff now, and the document you can see in front of you here, this is my layout. So if you want to copy this down, take this time now, either pause the video, or I'll be talking for a couple of minutes now, and you can check through now, make sure yours looks just like this. Right, so start off at the top with the doc type. Whether you use transitional or strict or not, doesn't matter which, that's what I'm using. You don't have to put that in, but if that's what you want to use, feel free to do that. Underneath that I've got the head and just title, bit of metadata, setting a character set, not relevant if you don't need it or don't understand what that's for, and then a link to our CSS sheet here. And I'll show you my CSS document in a second so you can copy that down. Okay, so that's all we've got in our head. Moving into the body, I've got a div tag, the wrapper, which I'm using to restrict the page to a set width and center it. Underneath that I've got my H1 title Harry Finn's contact form. Underneath that I've got a bit of PHP code. For those of you that are completely new to PHP, unlike HTML, HTML runs on the client side. Client side being, if you right click and go view source in whatever browser you're using on a web page, you'll be able to see the HTML on that page and everything related to it. PHP, on the other hand, runs server side. So that's where it's being hosted. So before it gets viewed on the page, it runs on the server, and basically all you see of PHP is its output. So for example here I've got PHP statement saying if my variable error is set and equal to true, do the following, of which I've got an error class. There was a missing field on the form, please make sure you enter your details and comments in all the boxes provided. Then I close that off and set a new one here called sent, and if that equals true, I'm saying thank you, your email has been sent successfully and we'll do our best to reply within 24 hours. And then I close that off with PHP. As you'll notice, to open and close PHP you have the is that less than? Yeah, less than, then question mark PHP, and then whatever you want inside it. And to close it off, you then have the question mark symbol and then the greater than sign to close it off. Those are crucial. If you don't have that and you try and run it with bits missing, opening and closing tags, just like HTML, if you miss off the end of a closing tag or an opening tag, 9 times out of 10 your code won't work at all, and the rest of the time you'll be getting some interesting errors. Okay, so below that I've got my div ID for my contact form, and then the form itself. Now this line here is quite crucial to look at. This is form name, right? And you'll see that I've got name for quite a lot of my other things inside the form. When you're working with PHP, especially when you're posting variables, you're sending information to the server for the server to interact with and then display back or do something with, you need to identify what each part is. Now in this case I'm not actually using the name set in the form, but it's a good habit just to name your form and what it's doing, not only for your reference but in case you then are using it in some PHP code. So next to that I've got the action, and here's your first bit of PHP code that you'll be wanting to write in as you go along. So if you copy down the whole of that page, don't worry about the first bits of PHP here and here. So in fact, what I'll do is I'll just cut them out for a second. So this is what you want at the moment. So if you want to pause your video now, it'd be a good idea to, and just copy what you've got there into your document. That is exactly what you'll need to start with. Okay, so again, going back to the action, this is your first bit of PHP code that you'll be looking at, and what it's doing is it's opening the PHP tags and it's using echo. Now what echo does is pretty much, although there is another function called print, it pretty much prints what comes next after the echo on the screen. It displays information. It's echoing out what you're asking, what you're telling it to. For example, if I go echo and then open speech marks hello world and close it off with a semicolon at the end, if I was to save that as a test.php document and load it up onto my web server, that would just display as hello world. Okay, so it's simple as. What this is doing here is it's echoing out the server PHP self. So what it's actually doing is when we send this form, when we hit the submit button, instead of it going to another page, it's going to actually reload the page and use the PHP within itself, PHP self, as the function there. There are lots of server-side functions to use, and I recommend if you're interested in getting involved with dynamic data, creating forms and all kinds of different user interactive based sites, that you have a look at PHP and its server-side functionality, because it's a great tool to use and a great language to get to hang up. After that, another important part, method post. Right, there are two types you can use here, post or get. I might show you some examples of get in a future tutorial, but for now we're using post. What post does is it's literally you're posting data somewhere. Okay, so the server is looking to receive that information that you will have entered from this form. You're posting information to the server for the server to interact with. Okay, so going down, we've then got some label items. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm setting a label on each of the form and going for name, and then I'm putting name and then closing the label tag off. So I'm doing that for each one, name, email and comments. That's all we've got on this form. Underneath each label you've got an input type or a text field. So here we've got input type equals text, and then we've got name equals name, and again I'm using name because later on in the PHP we're going to use that to dynamically pull whatever you enter in the name input box onto the server and then send it to me via email. Same for email, except the type is email. It does have its own separate form type, so make sure you use that one. Notice at the end as well, they're not closing off with /input. It is just a single close tag, so you don't need to do anything else but a space and a / and then greater than sign at the end. Next one down is obviously the label for comments, and then below that we've got text area. After you've had a look at this, I'll show you actually what our form's going to look like. And text area is a big rectangular box that I've set of columns 15 and rows 10. It's interesting because columns and rows aren't really a precise measurement, obviously, but you know, you enter in a value and just play around, and you know, however big you want it to be, that's how you can set it. You can set it with CSS with width and height, but it's always best to add in the column, rows and values as well in case you need to expand it out. And you don't need to put anything in between that. You could type something in it, like enter your text here, and that's what would appear in the box. Sorry. Problem with doing that is often if a user goes down the page and hits enter by mistake to tab down or whatever else, that's been put into the box. Therefore, if you've got any validation on your form, it's not going to see that box as empty, and therefore it will send it. So I don't often put anything in my boxes, mainly because I'm looking for the user to enter stuff in, and it should be fairly, you know, straightforward to what they're going to use each box for. Finally, down the bottom we've got the input type, and it's set to submit. Name is submit, class is submit because I'm using some CSS on it, and the value is submit. Now the value here, this is what appears on the button. If I change that to send, that will show as send button. If change it to sends email, change to send email. It'll make it as long as you need it to be, or as long as you want it to be, just enter in more characters, more words, whatever else. Finally finish off by closing the form tag, and below that I've got this div style clear both and closing div tag. That's because my labels and my input boxes, my labels even are floated to the left in my CSS, which puts them neatly alongside each of their input boxes, and I'll show you that in a sec. We need to put that at the bottom so that it aligns the boxes correctly on the page. Closing div tag, closing body, closing HTML. Right, I'm just about to move on to the CSS page so you can see how that looks. So if you haven't already, pause the video, copy this down so that you're up to speed. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to the style sheet, and here's my style sheet. Okay, so at the top here we've got the asterisk symbol, and we've set margin and padding to 0. Now the asterisk symbol basically acts as a and all feature in CSS. Okay, browsers such as Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome and Safari all actually have their own default style sheets. So if you don't set this at the beginning of your page or somewhere on your page, you may notice, and Firefox is a typical cause of this, you may see that if you are trying to create a page where the header is right at the top of the page, Firefox often displays a 10-20 pixel gap at the top, and that's very irritating most of the time if you've got a design and you want it right at the top. By doing this, setting the margin and padding to 0 with an asterisk, it actually fixes that. And actually there's a bug in IE 5 and 6 actually, which I think this is also fixed with width, height and stuff like that. But again, if you put this in, you can always set another margin up in your body if you want something different, so it's not a problem. Anyway, the first one down we've got, other than that, is body, and I've just set the background to white. I've set text aligned to center, font family is Arial, font size 18 pixels, and color is black. That's the short. Remember, those are the short codes. Again, short codes don't work for every color. Normally, prime basic colors, solid colors, and ones like black and white. Again, if you need to dive into Photoshop and find one, or a hexadecimal editor online, feel free. But remember, color. If you just type in color and then the word red, blue, green, yellow, orange, black, blue, stuff like that will work as well. Next one down, I've got wrapper, and I've set my margin to 0 and then auto and a width of 500. What that does is it aligns everything in the middle of my page vertically. So I know everything's central, which is nice for most of my design layouts are always centralized on the page, and it means that it doesn't matter really what screen size you're running on, it'll always appear right in that middle part of the page. You may notice that it's got a hash symbol in front of it. Now people have been asking me what's the difference between an ID and a class. Well, an ID in CSS is represented as a hash symbol, and a class is represented by a full stop or a period. When should you use them? Well, you should use an ID when it's a unique element on the page. Maybe you're only going to use it once. For example, my wrapper, I'm only going to use that once on my page. My contact form, I'm only going to use that ID once on my page. However, things like my error, my sent classes are actually set to P classes, my paragraph classes. I might use those more than once. There's no need for them to be they're not actually unique because they're classes underneath the paragraph. Their styles set to the paragraph, and they're in no way unique. They're just saying some simple colors and styles. So that's why I'm using them there. If in doubt, you can't really go wrong if you use all IDs or all classes. In fact, a lot of theme-based projects now just use classes because a lot of the time they're using the styles over and over again. There you will find possibly, especially if you're playing around with the CSS float and z-index. Do you want to say commands? They're not commands. What is it? I can't think. Features. Then you will occasionally find that that the parent has to be set as an ID and the child class has to be set as a class, obviously. Anyway, moving on, this is my contact form stuff. So I've got a border of 5 pixels, solid, and CCC is for a light grey. No idea why I chose grey, boring colour, but anyway, moving on, we've got a width of 440 and a margin of 25 pixels. That margin of 25 pixels is a margin everywhere, so top, bottom, left, right. Okay, and padding obviously of 5 pixels is again top, bottom, left, right. And following down, I've got my label. Again, I don't need to put a hash or a dot or a full stop period before that because it's not because it's a recognized element. Same with input and text area. So again, label is set to float left, which is going to align them on the left side. Well, not align them on the left side, it's going to set them on the left side so that the input boxes then slide up nicely on the right side. Width of that is 100 and text align is right, so they push against each box and align up nicely. Input and text area, width of 310 pixels, padding of 5, and here we've got an example of when I'm using margin code for all. Obviously I don't want 10 pixel around everything, I just want it on the bottom. So it goes, the first one is top, the second one in is to the right, the third one in is bottom, and the fourth one in is left. So it's going clockwise round. Okay, top, right, bottom, left. If in doubt, just work your way round in clockwise fashion. Then we've got an input style submit of, and this is where I'm just setting the width of that submit button, and I'm going margin left 70 pixels to align in the center, roughly. Last two are just paragraph and error. One's red and uppercase, and the sent one is just a green color. Okay, so I'll give you a sec. I'll just go up to the top. I'll give you a sec. If you want to pause your video now and copy that down, feel free, and in a second I'll just move it down so you can see the last two. Okay, I'm going to move it down now. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you, actually, should have been a good idea from the start. I'll quickly show you the contact form working. Okay, so here we are. This is Harry Finn's contact form, blah blah blah. And as you can see, if you read through that CSS document a little bit, you'll understand what I mean when I've put the labels on the left hand side here and floated them left, but align them right so they all follow each other. You've got name, email, and comments, your submit button down here, title up the top. Right, so at the moment if I hit submit, brilliant, the form validation kicks in. There was a missing field on the form. Please make sure you enter your details and comments in all the boxes provided. Excellent. So what happens if I go name Harry, email other email, and comments, this is a contact form, and hit submit. Thank you. Your email, oh dear, typo, didn't read that, I'll change that in a sec. Thank you, your email has been sent successfully. We will do our best to reply within 24 hours. Okay, great, so I can send my next email if necessary. Just pop into my inbox here, and we'll just check that comes through. So here we are, from Harry Finn, because it pulled the name out, it's got the email, and it's got the comments. This is a contact form. Brilliant. Okay, so we know it works. And it's only come through once. Check it again. So yeah, it's only come through once. So validation works and the form works. So that is what you're going to be making pretty much. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, where are we? There we are, text wrangler. Right, I'm going to pop back onto the contact page, and what we're going to do is pop up to the top here where I've got my PHP. Okay, so remember, when you save this document, we're going to want to save it as contact form, contact us, contact.php. Okay, not HTML, not CSS, PHP. If you save it as anything else, actually, this obviously won't work. So make sure it's correct on that front, otherwise it just won't work to start with. So PHP opening tag at the top and closing tag at the bottom there. Okay, and what I'm doing first of all, and PHP actually is quite logical. If you read through it, a lot of the time you actually understand what it's trying to do, even if you've got an error in it. It's almost like pseudocode. So if post submit, now in these terms it's obviously shorthand. Okay, so what it's actually saying is it's saying if post submit, if submit has been posted, if I've received submit, okay, so basically if I've clicked on submit down there, do the following. Okay, when we've got these squiggly brackets open, do the following. Okay, so what it's now looking to do is this next thing inside it, and that's saying if empty post name. So if the name that we posted off the form was empty, so if I didn't enter anything in that name box, if it's empty, or these two vertical lines, or the email is empty, or the contents is empty, error equals true. Okay, remember here that's one equals. Okay, in PHP 1 equals sets a value, a double equals sets and activates pretty much a value, and we'll go on to explain that with the error messages later on. Okay, else do the following. Okay, so this first bit, if I don't enter anything in the boxes, it's gonna mean that the error equals true. Okay, however, if I do enter something in, we're then defining variables. Okay, so here you're going to want to set your email. Okay, so there's my email address because I wanted to send it to my email box. We then need to define our variables, so I've got name equals trim post and name. So what that's doing, again, trim is just a function in PHP which removes white spaces, I think, from the beginning of wherever you submitted. So if somebody's pressing space and going in a bit, again, there are a lot more things you can shove in front of these to make it a lot more secure. HTML, special characters, strip slashes, etc. And I will do another video to show you how to make it a lot more PHP based safe. And that'll probably be up next week, I'm hoping. Anyway, going on, email, again, trim post email, and comments, trim post comments. Okay, and remember, comments, email, and name are what I set the value of name to in my form. Okay, so down here we've got text area name is comments, input name email, input name name. Okay, so that's what that's pulling out. We're then setting a subject. Because I haven't put a subject field on, you can add one in if you wanted to. It wouldn't be too difficult for you to do at all, but I've just set it as a set one because it's always going to be my contact form. And then what I'm doing is I'm defining messages, okay, because actually in my email, like I showed you, if I go down here, in my email I have it displaying on the page the name that was submitted, the email, and then the comments. Okay, so I have a variable called messages, and inside that it is echoing out, or it's printing out, even displaying name, and then whatever the name value is dropping a row down a new line, email, row down new line, comments, and then we've got headers, okay, and it's going to be from, and then the variable name, and then I'm setting a variable called mail sent, and it's going to equal PHP function mail, and whatever you put inside that basically will then send through. It has to be in a specific order, so you have to go to whoever it's going to go to first, the subject, the messages here, and then it loads the headers last. Okay, so there's all those defined variables for you, so take a minute if you need to pause the video and write that down. Okay, below that you then want to go if mail sent, so what that's saying is if mail sent processes, if it sends an email, it sends that information, okay, set the variable sent to true. Okay, and then what we're doing is we're closing each one of these functions off. So first of all we're going to close off this tag here, that squiggly bracket goes to that one, this squiggly bracket here finishes off that empty one, and finally we have one closing off the submit at the beginning. Okay, so now if we left it like that, okay, that would be great, it would send it through and it would stop the form from sending anything if the fields were empty, but it doesn't actually tell us what it's doing, so that's where we need to add in the information I took out earlier. So I'll paste that back in so you can have a look, just neaten that up a bit. So scrolling down here, I've put it underneath my H1 tag. You You can put it anywhere on the page you want. Just make sure again that you've got your opening and closing tags in the right place. Okay, so I'll save that. So first of all, I'm doing the error message. Okay, so should I be missing one of those fields, and again the reason I put the 2 lines there instead of the and symbol is because then it checks for all of them. So if name is empty, or the email is empty, or the comments is empty, or any combination, all 3 of them, 2 of them, just the 1, etc., it will mean that the error is true. So what I'm now doing is I'm saying if the error is equal and set to true, okay, if you put 1 equals, it won't work, because all you'll be doing is you'll be saying if the error set true, okay, it will crash on you because it's not being defined, it's being only defined and not called out at the same time. So it needs a double equals, do the following, and this is where we've got our CSS P class coming in here. Okay, error. There was a missing field on the form. Please make sure you enter your details and comments in all the boxes provided. Close that off. Open up PHP again. Open up that squiggly bracket. And then we're doing the congratulations, it's been sent. So if sent, and again, is equal to, and set to true, which it is. Okay, brilliant. Class is sent. Thank you for your email. Oh, right, there we are. Change that. Thank you. Your email has been sent successfully. We will do our best to reply within 24 hours, etc. Whatever, customize it to whatever you want. If you want a picture to pop up there, that's where you stick it in. Because this at the moment is just pure HTML, we've come out of the PHP tags. So underneath that, you're just going to open up PHP again, and you're just going to have to close off that if statement. Okay, and we're not doing any else statements here, like I had up the top, because it's already been processed up the top. So pretty much, if sent or error is not true, it's going to display the contact form regardless. Okay, presuming that you haven't submitted anything, which is the only output from that. Okay, so that is pretty much it. If you were to save that and upload that, which I'll do quickly now, what you will end up with is this contact form. Okay, call it what you want. Hit submit on that. There is a missing field in your form. Please make sure you. Okay, and I'll just show you that if I just type in Harry and my email and nothing in comments, it also comes up with that error message. There we are. So that's still displayed up there. There we are, thank you. Oh, hasn't uploaded that. Never mind. Can't bother to send that again. Anyway, send that email, open up my mail, hit receive, and there we are. Harry Finn has sent me an email from harrysfinn@hotmail.com, and his comments were, this was the end of the tutorial. Okay, so hopefully you've had enough time to look at that. I'll leave this up on the page once more in case you need to copy anything else down. I hope this has helped you. I will, again, like I said, I will have a more advanced validation system, and it will be running off this template. Okay, it will be adding to this template as is now. Again, files are in the description. Not this file, the CSS file I've put in there for you, but again, you can code this one out yourself and get going on it. And again, feel free to email me, pop any comments down if you're having any issues, PM me or email me with your web address or files if you're having any problems with it. I'll be more than happy to help. I know this is a slightly longer tutorial than usual. My account's been upgraded on YouTube, so I can actually do a lot longer videos. So I may be doing some mammoth-based tutorials, things like WordPress setup and install, stuff like that. If you have any requests, again, email me, PM me, leave me a comment, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Do appreciate it, and thank you guys, and I will talk to you soon.